We often admire brave individuals who made the choice to defend their reputation through jousting matches, acts of honor, and battling dragons. However, the reality for actual knights was quite different. Participating in jousting was not always a customary practice for knights. Chivalry focused less on teaching proper manners and more on providing a set of guidelines on what not to do. Today, we will take a closer look at the real-life adventures and challenges faced by those who bore the noble title of a knight in the medieval times. But before we get started, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Interesting Day. During medieval times, the majority of individuals in Europe followed the Catholic faith, as there were limited options for other religions. From the highest royalty to the humblest peasants and serfs, everyone was expected to fulfill their religious obligations, whether on a yearly or daily basis. Knights were also included in this practice and would commence their days with a morning mass at their local church. Unlike today's emphasis on breakfast as the most important meal, nourishing the Christian soul was considered paramount at that time. This was a reflection of their moral code, which extended to the code of chivalry, an antiquated set of principles that knights dutifully upheld. While there were guidelines for knights to follow, such as living honorably, defending the vulnerable, and honoring women, the code of chivalry primarily consisted of a long list of prohibitions. These rules, established by the Code of Chivalry, explicitly stated what knights were not permitted to do. This included refraining from assaulting priests, stealing livestock, harming women, setting homes on fire, or engaging in acts of robbery, kidnapping, murder, or any form of harm towards innocent individuals. These regulations align with the basic expectations of chivalry that we can all generally agree upon. In contrast to the constant pursuit of new diet trends today, medieval diets were devoid of keto, paleo, Atkins, or even the concept of meatless Monday. Meat, being the primary component, dominated most meals, not only for its taste, but also due to prevalent beliefs that many vegetables were toxic. The cautionary saying of one bad apple spoiling the barrel seemed applicable to medieval times, where consuming the wrong mushroom or encountering poisonous plants in salads was a genuine concern. Consequently, vegetables fell out of favor. The popular notion of beware of green salads and raw fruits, for they will make your master sick, was widely circulated. As meat was a costly commodity during that era and convenient options like packaged meats were non-existent, those with limited financial means predominantly relied on pork as their dietary staple. However, due to their elevated social standing, knights enjoyed access to higher quality food compared to serfs and peasants. Beef, sheep, and cheese were commonly served to knights, while preservation methods such as pickling and salting ensured the safety of their food. In a time when clean water was not readily available, medieval people primarily relied on alcohol as a beverage choice, knowing it would be less contaminated. Although this was not an excuse for modern times, medieval knights indulged in drinking habits reminiscent of fraternity culture, often leading to unruly and aggressive behavior. While they may not have engaged in contemporary drinking games like beer pong or flip cup, their rowdy conduct could turn violent and unbecoming of gentlemen. It was necessary for them to avoid excessive consumption of mead, as it could lead to weight gain. Contrary to the stereotypical image of a ruggedly manly knight, the reality was quite different. In a time without Instagram likes to boost their image, people in medieval times sought validation through compliments and adoration. However, fashion was not as straightforward as it is today, as laws regulated what individuals could wear. Sumptuary laws were put in place to prevent commoners from outdressing nobility, such as knights, ensuring distinct social distinctions based on outward appearance. To differentiate themselves from the lower class, knights adorned themselves in more extravagant designs and finer materials, with particular emphasis on their crotches through the use of large codpieces. Yes, you read that correctly. In the absence of sports cars for compensation, size mattered in medieval times. Despite their appearance, knights had a crucial role to fulfill. So, what exactly was their job? Well, part of their duty involved serving in their lord's private military. In certain regions like England, knights were exclusively responsible for protecting the king, essentially forming the national military. In other places like France, nobles within the community had the authority to recruit knights as personal guards or protectors. Regardless of whom they served, knights were bound to fight for and execute the orders of those to whom they had sworn loyalty. Being a knight was a profession, but they only worked around 40 days a year. Similar to modern jobs, there was a hurry-up-and-wait mentality. Knights had to be prepared for battle or to accompany their lord on journeys, but these duties were quick and painless. To stay ready, knights participated in tournaments, starting with mock battles and evolving into jousting matches and equestrian pageants. Tournaments were exclusive to noblemen, and it was an honor to be invited. With their free time, knights competed in tournaments to earn extra money and courted women. The full body armor worn by knights, weighing around 60 to 110 pounds, was impractical for their other duties. It slowed them down, and some historians believe that armies in the 14th and 15th centuries could have won more battles if they had worn lighter armor. The bulky protection made them less agile and slower compared to other armies. Eventually, in the 16th century, soldiers opted for more mobile attire, abandoning the heavy armor. If you're feeling lost in life, remember that modern medicine allows us to live much longer than people in medieval times. With limited time, people in the Middle Ages had to quickly decide on their life's purpose, as their life expectancy was around 30. Aspiring knights could start training as young as 7 years old, spending the next 14 years honing their skills in horseback riding, archery, and swordsmanship. After reaching the age of 21, they would go through a dubbing ceremony to pledge loyalty to a specific lord. Knights didn't have a restful night's sleep like we do. They slept in shifts, with some getting half the night to sleep, while others stayed awake to keep watch. Their interrupted sleep schedules didn't seem to be dangerous for them, although it's unclear if it affected their life expectancy of around 30 years. Being a knight wasn't solely about battles or pageantry, but it was a fulfilling career for those who committed to it from an early age. Would you have liked to be a knight? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for joining us on Interesting Day. See you next time.